The Texas rebuild, how long is that going to take? Our buddy Coach Chip hit me up on Twitter today, and he was talking about two big-time losses in year one of a coach's tenure. And he said, which one was worse? Was it Nick Saban losing to UL Monroe in 2007, or was it Sark in Texas losing to Kansas in 2021? And to me, it was very easy to answer. I think the Sark loss to Kansas was much bigger. Because if you go back to 2007, when Saban and Bama lost to Louisiana Monroe, number one, he was already proven. Nick Saban had already won a national championship. There was no doubting his credentials and whether he could get it done, whether he had a plan to get it done. And number two, the following Monday, I vividly remember this. I never felt more confidence in Nick Saban coming off any game than I did listening to him the Monday at his press conference after the UL Monroe loss. His best press conference he has ever had at Bama was the Monday after UL Monroe. He essentially gave you a spoiler alert. He essentially previewed the next decade and a half. He told you exactly what was going to happen. He told you how he was going to do it, and he told you why he couldn't do it right now. And portions of that are very, very key here, because that's what Sark's dealing with. The only difference is we don't know, obviously, whether Sark's going to be able to replicate even a fraction of the success that Nick Saban's had. But I'll tell you a couple of the points that Saban made after they lost that game in 2007 directly correlate to what you're seeing right now at Texas. One of the quotes was, "You guys are putting winning ahead of doing it right, and that's wrong." And Nick Saban was wagging that finger at the entire assembled media beat, but really he was talking to the fan base and a lot of the rot that was around the program that needed to be taken care of. Where have you heard that kind of terminology before? I'll tell you, it's Austin, Texas. And so Steve Sarkisian right now has probably dealt with some folks around there that are putting winning ahead of doing it right. And I'm not accusing the entire Texas fan base, far be it for me to do that. But I think the Texas fan base knows what I'm talking about. You can't have that. And you can't put winning ahead of taking care of that. And the second thing Saban said that day, that he still says up to and including today, is you cannot get it right until the people are right. And the people are not right. And I'm specifically talking about the locker room now. You can go back to the Bo Davis bus video. The people aren't right there yet. And so it's not necessarily a shocker that Steve Sarkisian doesn't have the right ingredients right now. But now, here's where the Chip Brown article earlier today comes into play. Because Sark on Monday made a statement that I picked up on. I didn't talk about it, but my ears perked up on Monday. Because normally coaches don't give out specific numbers like this. Steve Sarkisian said, we could add as many as 33 guys to our roster for 2022. We could add as many as 33 new faces. And that's really before he knows fully how busy the transfer portal is going to be. This will be the story of college football this upcoming spring and then post-spring as well in the summer months when you have like the second round of transfer portal goings and comings. Texas is going to be a totally different team next year. I don't know if the record's going to be different, but Texas is going to be a totally different team. And Chip over at Horns 24/7, man, he dialed this completely up today and let you know kind of position by position, but easily let you know organizationally where things stand. He named a bunch of names. I'm pretty sure that Steve Sarkisian just whispered in his ear and then Chip typed. That's how thorough the information was. But the process has already begun. They've already had some guys leave. There hasn't necessarily been a huge public proclamation that this guy's no longer on the Texas football team. But a lot of them are gone, and several of them will be gone. And that's going to be a good thing for Texas because you can achieve this without a bunch of fat being trimmed there. For lack of a better term, not that a better term's needed, but it's going to kick into gear really soon. Now here's what I'm watching. Not just the overall roster, but specifically at the quarterback position, and this is where a lot of the attention is going to be, period. Hudson Card and Casey Thompson are there, and we've talked about that ad nauseum this year. A lot of people in and around Austin are waiting to see whether Steve Sarkisian gives his endorsement of one of those guys being his quarterback moving forward. And I don't know that it's coming. I don't know that it's coming because I don't think Steve Sarkisian thinks his answer at quarterback is on his roster right now. Now, you can make a case. Chip made a strong case for Casey Thompson. I don't disagree with some of what he said. Where I do think that there is a remains to be seen factor here is Steve Sarkisian probably looks and says, well, yeah, Casey Thompson may be the better of the two I have right here, but there are 3 or 4 names that are going to be in this transfer portal for all we know. don't get hung up on the number. There may be at least one guy in the transfer portal that I can get that is immediately my starter when he walks in. I think that's the situation. I do believe that's what Steve Sarkisian thinks he's going to be able to do. But that 2022 Texas team, I may have said 21 a second ago, the 2022 Texas team will be a totally different team. Now, they could put up the exact same record, or they could improve by 5 games next year. But this whole Michigan State blueprint that Mel Tucker laid out, everyone watched that. Florida State did a version of it with Norvell. Everyone has watched that. And that is everyone's answer now. That combined with the fact that you're going to be able to bring in some more guys because of the way the COVID rules and roster limitations are changing for a little while, that is going to greatly benefit Steve Sarkisian in Texas. Now, they still have to execute, still got to have a plan, still got to put it in motion, still got to be the right staff for the job. But they got to get the right people. And this is step one to getting the right people. This is going to be the story to watch. I can guarantee you it's going to command attention coast to coast from now until we tee it up in fall camp next year.